Hello everybody, it's John Alexandrov, and today I'm recording a series of 3 videos which combined are going to relate to you the common characteristics of the most successful people that I've ever worked with, partnered with, invested with, mentored, coached. And the reason I'm doing this is because one of the previous videos that we did in the past couple of weeks, the 3 C's, got tremendous response. If you may remember, or maybe you watched that video, is we find that very successful people have 3 C's, and that is that they have a very high commitment to their goals, they have a compelling reason to accomplish those goals, and they also are very consistent in their approach to whatever it is that they're attempting to achieve. And by the way, most extremely successful people eventually achieve what they set out to do. So I'm going to go through the 10 common characteristics. Now there are more than 10. And by the way, I urge you to call me, email me, text me. You know, if you know of others, other commonalities amongst the most successful people that you work with, or even in your own personality, you know, go ahead and send those to me and I'll add them to the list. I could probably add another 5 or 6 right now, but the 10 I'm going to go through are the 10 that are the most common that I see over and over and over again. Now, many of you know I've coached some of the most successful people in the United States, that I've been an attorney myself since 1985 here in Massachusetts, that I work at a very high level both in business advisory, coaching, in the legal industry. And it's just been a joy to observe and work with entrepreneurs and business people on a daily basis. It's really inspired and helped me in my career, but in return, I've been able to kind of codify and get everything together to be able to relate to you, what I've observed. Now, there have been other books, written on these subjects. I mean, probably the most famous is Think and Grow Rich. The most recent one is Tools of the Titans, and there's another, 20,000 in between those books. This is from my own personal experience, again, working one-on-one with people, advising them, and also, and many times, not only advising them, but being partners with them as well. So the first common characteristic that I most often see in the most successful people that I work with is that they have clearly defined goals, they have a definite chief aim and purpose in life, and most of them don't even call them goals. They call them promises and commitments. Now think about that for a moment. Just in a little shift of a couple of words, how much different that feels. So for example, many people will say, well, my goal is, and I say, fantastic, tell me what you're really committed to. Because there's a big difference between the word goal. Sometimes a goal might be a commitment, but sometimes it's a hope, and it's a wish, and it's a dream. When people are willing to use the words commitment and promise, I know that they are really, truly focused on what they want to accomplish. Because we were taught from a very young age, 2, 3, 4 years old, a promise is a promise. Never make a promise you don't intend to keep. Don't break promises. So the most successful people that I work with really transform their goals and visions and dreams into promises and commitments. They believe in a very high level of accountability, not only self-accountability, but allowing people like myself to hold them accountable to what it is they say that their goals and promises are. Matter of fact, I have an accountability partner that I meet with every other week, and I send him my numbers every week. I mean, Napoleon Hill once said, when you're in the presence of someone who's willing to be held accountable, you're in the presence of nobility, or you're in the presence of royalty, because so few people are willing to be held accountable. Extremely successful people are. So, number 1 common characteristic is they have clearly defined, and I'm going to call them goals because it's easier for you to pick up on that language. They have clearly defined goals and definite chief aims and purposes in life, but they convert those goals and dreams to promises and commitments. And when you're willing to do that, when you're willing to make that shift, you'll see that you will just view things differently, you will act differently, and on the flip side, you won't have these grandiose concepts and ideas in your mind that you're doubting and say, well, yeah, I'm going to set that gigantic, hairy, audacious goal because the person sitting next to me in the seminar set a big goal too. Well, successful people don't do that. they set goals and make promises that are important to them. They don't really care about comparing themselves to the next person. So I really want you to get into that frame of mind, really lock in what's important to me. Am I willing to make a promise to myself and to my family and my business partners or whatever that I'm committed to doing it, I'm going to do it, and am I willing to be held accountable to it? So that's common characteristic number one. The second common characteristic is they basically and generally and genuinely maintain positive mental attitude. Now, you might be saying, well, John, that's not possible to be positive all the time. Well, for some people, it's probably not, and maybe for some people it is. What I mean by maintain a positive mental attitude is that they have a general perspective on business and on life and relationships and anything else that you want to add to the mix that's positive and forward thinking. It's not restrictive or negative or past thinking. And you can see this, most extremely successful people have these very positive expectations of themselves, of the people around them, and yes, they also work on their attitudes. They know that their attitude is a choice. Every single day when we get up, we can make a choice as to what our attitude is going to be. They choose to maintain as positive a mental attitude, regardless of the circumstances around them, that they possibly can. I read a story one time of Thomas Edison. It's a really fascinating story. He was, I believe, at the time in his early 60s, and he had his laboratory down in New Jersey, and the laboratory was made out of poured concrete. And because it was made out of poured concrete, they didn't really think that this laboratory was in jeopardy of fires and other types of disasters. Well, one night the laboratory caught on fire, and the alarms went off, and Thomas Edison was up in his home, and he ran down the hill, and he looked at the fire, and he literally was just standing there observing the fire just in total amazement. And he said to his son, quick, go and get your mother. She'll never see another spectacle like this in her life. And so, Tom Edison Jr. ran up and, got Mrs. Edison, and he was standing there watching the fire, and she looked at him, she said, oh my goodness, how terrible is this? And he looked at her and he said, isn't this wonderful? All my mistakes got burned up in that fire. Now I can start all over again. Now, are we all going to have that type of perspective on everything? Probably not, because life is full of challenges. We do encounter obstacles. However, it's in how you perceive those things and how you're either proactive or responding to those things that makes a difference between many people accomplishing what they set out to do, actually doing it or not doing it. Attitude goes a long way. So how do you prepare yourself every day? How do you prepare your attitude? How do you do that? Is there a set of circumstances or conditions that helps you have a more positive attitude towards things? Could be nutrition. Could be what you're watching or listening to in the evening or in the morning. Could be a number of different factors, who you're surrounding yourself with, what your environment is like. You're here in this is being recorded in my office. You can see I have a very positive environment in my office. So attitude can be come from a combination of all of those factors, or it's just you simply making up your mind that I'm going to have a more positive perspective on things versus looking at things from a negative perspective. So that's common characteristic number two. It's they maintain as often as possible a positive mental attitude, forward thinking, looking forward towards the experiencing of their dreams, their goals, their promises, not looking back to the stuff that happened even 15 minutes ago, because that's in the past. Not to say that we can't learn from things that have happened in the past, and of course we're going to learn from things that we've experienced in the past. But the more positive you can maintain your outlook and your attitude, the better off you will be. So that's the second common characteristic. The third common characteristic I just mentioned is that I asked the question, how do you prepare yourself every day? Very successful people have some sort of routine that includes one or multiple of these things. They visualize on an ongoing basis. They affirm both verbally in their words and in their actions every single day or as often as possible. And they find ways to inspire themselves and thereby others, by the way, through some sort of means like that. So visualization, many of you were taught this concept or have heard this concept of visualization. What is visualization really, when you really stop to think about it? It's you experiencing something in the now that you say you want to experience in the future. So you could be visualizing yourself on the plane flying to Greece. You can visualize yourself walking across the stage, getting that award that you expect to win. You can visualize yourself 10 or 15 or 20 pounds lighter and seeing yourself in that beautiful bathing suit you're going to wear this summer and be proud of your physique. I mean, it could be a bunch of things, but visualizing just isn't picturing, it's actually experiencing in the now what you are adamant about in the future. The reason I make that point is because many people, just kind of have this misconception. They were taught erroneously what visualization is. It isn't just putting some pictures on your wall of the car that you want and the home that you want, and then just sitting there saying, "Oh, someday the magic tooth fairy is going to deliver those things to me." No, that's not going to happen. What we want to do is we want to build your subconscious commitment to the accomplishment of the things that you're visualizing. And through that, you will see different guideposts along the way that will propel you to take action to fulfill those visions. That's truly what visualization is. Affirmation is very similar. Some people say, "Oh yeah, I'll just read a few words off the paper and I'll go through the motions, and because I'm affirming, good things are going to happen to me." Again, misconception. Affirmations are also meant to help you experience in the now what you expect in the future. Affirmations also help you visualize. The affirmations also help you focus on what you want. And by the way, affirmations aren't just done verbally or in writing. Your physical actions are also affirmations. So I want you to think of affirmations not just as of words and not just as of concepts, but of actions also. Every single time you take an action or decide to take an inaction, not to do anything, you're actually affirming a belief. So if you want to build your belief system to the point where where it's 100% guaranteed or predestined that you are going to accomplish your goals or fulfill your dreams, do so not only through your words but through your actions. I do a combination of things. I visualize every single day. Matter of fact, my updated dream book is right there, so I can actually look at the pictures and feel them as I'm flipping through the book, right? I verbalize my affirmations, and I also are continually surrounding myself with inspirational things. There's pictures of my children and grandchildren on the wall there. There are gifts that clients and friends have given to me. So I'm in a very positive work environment, and I'm constantly committed to carrying out the physical actions towards the accomplishment of my promises and dreams and goals. But I'm also inspiring myself or re-inspiring myself every single day through the combination of those other things. So I was watching a golf tournament over the weekend, and the #1 ranked golfer in the world is a golfer by the name of Jason Day. And I was watching him preparing to hit a shot. And he walked up behind the ball and looked at where he wanted to hit it. And then he closed his eyes and pictured exactly how he wanted that shot to go. And then that probably took a good 20 or 30 seconds. And he's in the middle of the golf course with his eyes closed, visualizing exactly where he wanted the ball to go. Well, it's no wonder that he's been the #1 ranked golfer in the world for 47 straight weeks, because part of his routine is that he visualizes exactly what he wants to happen. And he does that not only on the golf course, but off the golf course as well. And you may remember people like Michael Jordan, you think of any other great athlete, watching the Olympics last summer, the untold number of athletes who stood behind the starting blocks in races and watched and visualized themselves breaking the tape first as they were going across the finish line, because they know through visualization and through physical affirmations that they can accomplish their goals. It gives you that little slight edge, gives you just a little bit more. Now, I want to give you a story. It's a combination of both visualization, affirmation, and positive mental attitude. And this story is by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. Many of you know him or think of him as the godfather of the power of positive thinking. But one year, he was on business/vacation in Hong Kong, and he brought his wife with him, and they were doing some sightseeing, and she decided the next day that she wanted to go to the dressmaker shop, and she wanted to have some custom clothing made. So they were walking around this little village called Kowloon, and she went into the dressmaker shop, and he said to her, "I'm just going to walk around for a while. You go ahead and do what you need to do, and I'll come back and I'll pick you up." So he was going through the village, and he was looking in the windows and having a good time, and he came across a tattoo parlor. And he looked in the window and he saw all these tattoos. He saw flags and ships and mermaids and all this great stuff. And then he saw one tattoo, and it said, "Born to Lose." Now this really upset him. Here's the godfather of positive thinking, right? And he sees the tattoo, "Born to Lose," and he's literally incensed. He grabs the door, the front door to the tattoo parlor, he rips it open, he goes running inside, and there's this older Chinese gentleman sitting in there, probably in his 70s or 80s, and Dr. Peale looks at him and says, "Are you the man in charge of tattoos?" He says, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "Well, I can't believe what I just saw. I was looking in your window and I saw a tattoo that said, 'Born to Lose.'" And he said, "Yes, sir, that's one of our tattoos." And then Dr. Peale just kind of stepped back and was in amazement and wonderment. And he said, "Are there really people that will inscribe upon their flesh the words 'Born to Lose'?" And the gentleman said, "Yes, sir, we've had many." And he said, "Well, what kind of person would do that?" And this very wise older Chinese gentleman looked at him and said, "I'll tell you. Before tattoo on flesh, tattoo on mind. Before tattoo on flesh, tattoo on mind." So you think about that. What we habitually hold in our minds, what we visualize, what we believe on a subconscious level, what we affirm, will become a physical reality so long as you're committed to making it happen. You get to choose what that reality is for yourself. Some people choose born to lose, and that's a metaphor for anything that you want to assign it to. And some people choose born to win, born to achieve, born to experience. Anything that you want to add to that, go ahead and add to it. But the choice is yours. And that story is a great summary of really the key 3 points that we started with, right? Having clearly defined goals and converting them to promises. That means promises to yourself as well as promises to other people. Second is maintaining a positive mental attitude as often as possible. And the third is visualizing and affirming and inspiring yourself and others through your words, your thoughts, your vision, and your actions. Okay, so we're going to wrap up the first series, the first segment of our 3 series of videos with that story. I really would love you to contemplate that, to think about it and say, well, geez, am I really implementing these top 3 characteristics? And if I'm a little off track there, I'm going to get myself back on track. And if you want to do that with my help, fantastic. Go ahead and give me a call or send me a text or an email. I'm sure Ryan will embed in the bottom of this video how you can contact me, and I'll help you with those things. But it's absolutely paramount that you get those 3 things set first before you move into the accomplishment of any really significant goal or promise that you say that you want to be, do, or have.